Hi Dan, mate. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. How's things going?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me. Not bad. Busy day at work. Um, Markets are very choppy at the moment, so yeah, it makes our job interesting being on the currency market. So yeah, I mean November started off fairly slow, and like I said, it's picking up. New business is flying in. The lads doing quite well on the new business side of things. So can't complain. How about you? How's life treating you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate. Been self-employed for a few weeks now. Probably, I think, into my fifth week. Like we was just talking about offline. Then, yeah, it's just keeping yourself motivated, making sure you're not a busy fool. The motivation thing, I'm fine with. It's making sure I'm doing, let's say, the right tasks to grow the business in the right way, if that makes sense. It's getting my feet under the table. First few weeks felt like it was annual leave, but since then, there's been a lot of opportunity already, which is I'm working on with a lot of other people. Well, I say a lot of other people, a few others. So, it'll probably slow down over the next 4 or 5, well, few weeks over Christmas. And then, property market is mad in January, although the last 18 months it's been mad anyway. So it's not been a normal market. But yeah, it's going well, but it's good to catch up. So, we've known each other probably a good number of years now, over 10 years, briefly.
15 or so, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, briefly in for the sixth form days, wasn't it? And then, lucky for you, I guess. Yeah, bumped into each other in Australia, a few others, and we had a bit of a breeze out there, didn't we?
Yeah, Australia. That was a while back now. Good memories. I've still got friends over there. Obviously, there's some of the girls that went Dartford Grammar.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, I think some of them are planning on coming back here in a few months' time. So yeah, still in contact. Lot of people over there. Makes me jealous, but I think they've had a much tougher lockdown than we have over here. So I think they're pretty spoiled in that regard. So I'm glad I'm not
yeah,
there.
yeah. At least, I mean, yeah, they have been. One of my best mates, one of my groomsmen, he couldn't make it over to our wedding a few months ago, just because of lockdown rules and that. But at least they get the weather and the beaches, don't they? Which we don't really get over here.
Yeah, you got to take the rough with the smooth, haven't you?
That's it, yeah. So, for the listeners out there, Dan, you touched on what you sort of briefly do. You're talking about the financial markets and that, but tell us a bit about yourself, just so the listeners, get to understand, what it is you do, your background, taking back, probably not as far as we go back, but just a bit before that, so everyone can understand what it is you do.
I'll go back to start a career. Essentially, that's when I was 19. Started out in FX straight away. It's pretty much all I've done. I started as a junior broker. Worked in Canary Wharf, hammering out a lot of phone calls to a lot of would-be prospects. Took a lot of rejection, and it obviously builds a thicker skin, which is key in this industry. I moved on to my last employment. I was there for 4 years before obviously went traveling, as you just mentioned, bumped into in Australia. I was away for a year and a half, did Southeast Asia, clockwise, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, all the rest of it. Then over to Australia, worked a bit over there, did a bit of sales, used sort of some of the kind of key attributes that I developed at my last employment over on the sales floor. We worked in the same place,
Same
didn't we?
place, wasn't it? Yeah, I referred you into Pigbound, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You helped me get the job there. Yeah,
yeah,
that was fun. I got a pretty easy ride there, easier than some other people selling life insurance. Um, but no, and then yeah, came back to UK sort of 2016 December. Started up Ocean Capital Exchange, my business, in around June time in 2017. So, and yeah, just been plugging away ever since. Just touching back on, you said it feels like being on annual leave. It's very similar for me for the first 6 months working from home. Going from having a boss to being your own boss is quite the adjustment. Some people thrive a little better with having someone breathing down their neck. It's quite easy to put your feet up. But yeah, we're still going, so plugging away. So we're in an office now, in the city, in the Leadenhall building, Cheesegrater for those so those local. And yeah, going all right.
Oh, brilliant. Was you recently in Canary Wharf? Have you recently moved then to the Leadenhall? Or
We were, yeah. So I live in Canary Wharf, so we were there for a couple of years. and I just felt like there was a bit of a better vibe in the city, especially with COVID as well. Canary Wharf it's been very quiet last couple of years. So yeah, and the city's a bit livelier. You've got kind of more opportunities locally to kind of go out and meet people as well. So yeah, I think we're going to stay put there for a few years at least.
Oh, brilliant. So taking back then, so you know, I remember having a conversation with you actually. You know, you didn't go straight into the city, did you? I remember having a conversation and you was sitting on the sofa with your laptop at home, doing it on your own. So it must have been, like you say, a bit of an adjustment and transition going from where you were back in 2017 to now, because going, you know, hats off to you, that's quite a quick, good transformation. So going from, you know, your sofa to being in Canary Wharf or the Leadenhall now in 3-4 years, it's pretty remarkable. So what would you sort of, what would you owe the success then? What would you say was beneficial for that growth?
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate you saying. You're not wrong. I mean, I was at a slight disadvantage having been away from the market for a year and a half. Trying to start a business and get back into it after all that time. You know, you lose a lot of contact with obviously previous contacts, and it's not like you jumping from one company and then starting your own thing straight away, which is a bit of an advantage. So yeah, it was quite slow. Obviously, sitting as you said on the sofa in my tracksuit bottoms for the first 6 months, plugging away just on. I got myself a VoIP system, new laptop, and just made a few calls, and it just grew from there. So yeah, I guess just trying to be just put the work in early doors was all I could focus on was getting an office. So once I kind of was able to get an office, then I could take on some junior brokers, and then obviously grow the sales team exponentially. But a good friend of mine, Dan Anson, you know him, he started with me around January time of 2017. It's been with me ever since. So that helps, obviously, when you've got someone else, two of you kind of working together. We moved into our first office February time of 2018. And it's been choppy. If I were to start again, would I have worked a little bit harder at the start and put a lot more hours on the phone? Yes. But yeah, I'm quite content with our growth over the last couple of years at least.
Oh, brilliant. So, with that, then obviously, like you say, Dan's been there for a while, so I assume he's doing all right then. Yeah, oh, Crumble. Yeah,
He's still got a seat for now. Yeah.
No, brilliant. So, yeah, like you're saying, quick growth, taking on offices so you can take on staff. Has that been a challenge trying to find the right staff and you know, I guess it's a numbers game because ideally it's a sales environment you're in, isn't it? You know, feeding that funnel at the top and making sure, you know, fill it for 100, you get two out the bottom to convert. Is that primarily what it is you're doing then?
Yeah. So look, finding the staff is probably one of the biggest challenges that we've faced. Um, Not to disrespect any previous staff we've had, obviously, it's not for everyone. Sales isn't for everyone. It's a lot of hard work. You need thick skin. You need to be self motivated, and some people just aren't cut out for it. So finding those people, I would say the best people to have working for you in a sales environment are those people that see it as a kind of business within a business, that they're working autonomously, they're not working for you, and that kind of motivates them more, really. And if they're going to be self-motivated that way. So if you can find, yeah, I've got a couple of those lads now that I'm really happy with. So if you can find people like that, that's just going to help you kind of grow much quicker. We only hire now on attitude, as opposed to natural sales ability. I'd hire someone with natural sales ability over. Sorry, I'd hire anyone with a good attitude over natural sales ability any day of the week, because you know they're going to put the work in, they're going to work hard, they're going to get to where they need to be eventually, and yeah, they're just going to, in my experience, they're the ones that stay the longest and turn out to be the best employees.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, it isn't for anyone or everyone. I've worked in sales. Like I said, we worked at the same place prior. Back in Australia, I've worked in a few sales-based roles, and the churn you see it's quite high because, like you say, getting told no. People aren't used to getting told no all the time, are they? And like you say, you've got to have a thick skin. You've got to build that resilience. Do you think people have natural sales ability, or they have the natural sales ability and they can hone it and learn and develop and grow? Or do you think that you can learn it? Is it something that you either have or you don't? Because, I've seen people who, think they're Billy Big Bollocks, sort of come into a sales environment, couldn't sell anything. Do you think
Yeah.
it's because they think they're shit hot at what they're doing, or it's just the case that, they just don't have that natural sales ability and they don't know how to build that initial rapport? The open end question. There's so many different sales techniques out there. You can probably Google and you'll find 100 different books. Obviously, everyone has their own sort of way of selling, but like I was saying, do you think you either have it or you don't? It's something that you can't learn.
Yeah, to a degree. Going back to you're absolutely right as well. There's so many people I've come across that they thought they were the nuts. They've come in and they haven't lasted a week, and they've been out the door. They've had the air slicked back. They've had the braces on. They've they've come in, and yeah, it hasn't been for them. Look, you can do well if you don't have natural sales ability. I wouldn't say I had natural sales ability at all. I'm not the biggest extrovert, and don't really have the gift of the gab. I guess there's kind of two types of sales consultant, and yeah, it's the more consultative types that learn the product. They know exactly what they're saying. They know the market, and they can kind of win people around that way. And then you've got the bullish sales types who might not know the product as well, but they are persuasive on the phone and they are that kind of little bit more that little bit pushier. So yeah, I mean, you just got to kind of work out which type of sales type you are and yeah, and go with that one. What was we? How did I get to that point?
I was just saying, like, do you think people are born with natural sales ability, or they can
Yeah.
they can develop it?
Yeah. So I'd say yes and no. Yeah. To answer the question, sort of, I'd say you some are born with natural sales ability, but they might not have the right attitude.
Yeah.
And they're the sort of people that you might see jumping around from firm to firm, never really progressing in their career because yeah, they can't hold the job down, or there's certain things that are preventing them from progressing. I think the best people, the ones with the right attitude, put the work in. They control the things that they can control. Okay, your KPIs, your how many calls you're making, how many people you're speaking to. As you said it earlier, it is a numbers game. So if you've got people with the right attitude that are going to put the work in, regardless of sales ability, natural sales ability or not, then they're the ones that will do well. And the sales you determine by the figures, don't you? So I'd say yeah, they've got the ability if they put the work in.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I think you've sort of touched on a key point, and attitude, isn't it? And I think in every walk of life, you've got to have the right attitude, because if you don't have the right attitude, I think you get left behind. You have to have a positive outlook and the correct attitude, because opportunity is not going to come to you, or you're not going to spot the opportunity as much as you would if, you're sort of sitting there, not really sort of trying hard, not really working at what you're trying to do. You make 80 calls a day, let's say, as opposed to someone's making 120 calls a day. Every 2 days they're doing exactly the same as you do per day. So, exponentially, they're obviously going to be a lot better. It's just getting up there, having that attitude and going at it. But no, I fully agree. Like I say, I've worked in sales, and sometimes you just have some of them shit days and it gets you really down, doesn't it? You're sitting there and you're thinking, I can't sell a thing. What's going on here? And then I remember I
Oh
used
yeah,
to sell at Peak Bound. I used to sell better hungover. So if I used to go out the night before, because you're sort of more relaxed, you don't really care as much, do you? And I used to sell
yeah.
brilliantly, double shot cappuccino before I started, during the lunch break, the break, and in the afternoon, do brilliant. Didn't go out the night before. I was so like, slow on the phone. I couldn't sell anything. So I just thought, I'll just go out all the time.
Yeah. To be fair, you're one of the lucky ones. I'm quite the opposite, to be honest. I'll find myself, if I'm hungover and someone tells me no, I'm in a foul mood, and that'll just reflect in my next call. So
Yeah, but you do, don't you? You take it in, like, every call's a new one. You've got to sort of like sit back, shuffle your papers, be like, right, ready to go on the next one. Right, this call's a new call. But yeah, when you get 10 in a row, you start questioning your own ability and think, fucking hell, I'm useless at this. What am I even doing here in the centre? But
This is it. You do doubt yourself. I think every salesperson, multiple times throughout their career, will hit a wall, and they'll start asking themselves questions like, "Can I do this?" You could have. That's the funny thing about sales is you could have an amazing month, but you're only really as good as your last month, right? So you could have the first 2 weeks of your next month are absolutely awful, and you'll be doubting yourself. I mean, I'm useless. My base has gone to shit. I don't know where my next, where my clients are coming from. Then out of nowhere, you could have a couple of really good days, and then you think, oh, it's all right again. I don't mind it. I'll keep doing this for another month.
Yeah, but it's having that mindset, isn't it, to keep going and just pushing forward and think it is going to happen. I sometimes get like that in property. So, buy a few properties and you're thinking pipeline's drying up. Like I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting anything. All of a sudden, that one viewing or that one conversation you have, then it clicks and you think, well, I've got another one. Thank God for that, because I thought I was having a right long dry spell. But no, I fully understand what you're saying. It's a mad old world.
Yeah, my old HR lady at my previous employment, she was very big on self-talk, and not that I think she suggested that we stand in front of the mirror and talk to ourselves, but I never actually got around to doing that. But it's the concept is the same, I suppose. Just remind yourself that you're where you are for a reason, and this is what I try and portray to my sales team as well. Just keep plugging away. You're going to hit a wall. Everyone hits a wall. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days, but just keep plugging away, and it will pay off in the end.
Yeah. So how do you find that they're motivating your sales team? How have you found going from 19-year-old Dan on the sales floor, absolutely having a blast out there, all your clients, all the revenue, all the income, commissions, then taking all of that to then start your own business and then try and teach that to your staff? How you found the transition going from, a salesperson to a business owner with a sales team?
Pretty difficult, to be honest. I was, drawing on my own experience, and I thought, I know I'll just be able to slap a script in front of people. They'll read it, and they're going to get some clients on board. It didn't work out that way. People obviously have all different abilities. Tonality is huge
Massive.
in sales. So if people don't have the right tonality, and it's really hard to kind of teach that. People have different levels of comfort in the office around people. So when you're trying to say to your sales staff, look, you need to be enthusiastic. You need to act as though you believe in what you're selling. Otherwise, your prospect isn't going to believe you, right? If you go into a sales call with a monotonous voice and you sound like you're half asleep, your prospect isn't going to give you the time of day. The amount of times I've said to them, look, that call you've just made, what would you do if you had that call, if you received that phone call? If someone called you up and said, morning, this is calling regarding, you'd put the phone straight down. Because I would, because I get a few sales calls. But yeah, if I had someone that called me up, and I regularly do, people who are enthusiastic, the tonality and the enthusiasm supersedes the content of what they're saying. Half the time I don't even hear or listen what they're saying, but I'll go send me an email. I'll have a little look through it, because I've kind of bought into them as a person.
Yeah.
I think people obviously buy from people, don't they? So yeah, going back to your original question, it has been tough. Kind of trying to portray what I knew and my experiences and developed into sales staff. Yeah, is not as easy as I thought it would be. One of the biggest challenges we faced, I'm obviously not alone in this, is COVID. I took on 4 sales guys,
All at the
5
same
weeks,
time, or?
all at the same time before lockdown. So they were 5 weeks, and then they went on furlough, because they weren't generating revenue yet, so it didn't make sense for them to be calling away to people in lockdown. This was 2020, sort of March last year. And then obviously things happen. I think they came back. They must have been working on other things while they were on furlough, and I don't want to speculate. But when they got back into the office, it kind of, we they didn't pick up where they left off, essentially. So that was a bit of a setback. And then we've taken on a few people. They haven't lasted. I'd say that's the biggest challenge. You kind of take someone on, and then you spend sort of 2 to 3 months investing in them, training them up, and then it doesn't progress or transpire into a long-term employment, and then you've essentially feel as though you've just gone back in time 3 months and you've just wasted
Starting
that
again,
energy. Yeah. So that's the toughest thing. Finding the staff is definitely the biggest challenge that we've faced. But yeah, once you get good staff, then I think you're winning.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, I did a recording earlier, another podcast with Dan, someone else called Dan, actually, Dan Green. He has a rent-to-rent portfolio, and one of his biggest challenges, he said as well, same thing, staff. He had somebody come into the team. You think that they're getting on with the job, and then once you look or delve into it a bit more, they weren't. And like you say, it's your business at the end of the day. You're trying to instill the same values, the core values that you have, all the knowledge that you have and the wisdom for them to be able to carry your business, because it's your reputation, isn't it? At the end of the day, you need to grow that. And if they can't do that, then it's going to be a big struggle, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't, obviously you need to kind of take into account that nobody is going to care about your business as much as you care about your business. Yeah. That's the biggest kind of point. And at the start, you expect them to. You think to yourself, hold on, I'm paying you. What? Why are you not treating it? Why do you not care as much as I do? But they're not going to. So you need to kind of take that into account, which is fair. But that goes back to what I said earlier. If you can find people that treat it, like a business within a business, they're the best employees to have, because they motivate themselves and they're driven. And you don't have to worry about kind of loads of sick days and lateness and all of the annoying things that annoy most employers. So yeah, that's yeah.
I don't have any staff, but it sounds like a headache. Obviously, in time with growing the businesses, obviously the sourcing business want to bring in a team on that side, but obviously the lettings and property management as well. We'll need a lettings manager at some point. We'll need people in, but all the challenges I'm hearing, so if there's anyone out there listening who does employment and HR services for a living, then get in touch. Give us some pointers.
To be honest, what I think would be a good shout, a good idea for anyone that doesn't want to take this kind of issue, is maybe offer small amounts of equity to staff if they've been with you for a certain amount of time, or they're making X amount of revenue. Because if they feel like they've got an investment in your property, in your business, then it should drive them to work harder. They're going to think, I'm working for myself now. Yeah. So that'd be key. Treat it like a partnership, like John Lewis or Waitrose. I think that's what they do, don't they?
I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it sounds like a good idea. And like you say, the more money they make for the business, the more they're going to get at the end of the year, aren't they? Or the end of the quarter, or whatever, whenever you decide to pay them out and give them a nice chunky bonus. But
yeah, we try little other things to kind of fuel motivation. We recently bought in this wheel. It's like a you spin the wheel, and it's got I think there's like 12 different prizes on there. I think one's like a day off, which one of the lads won the other day. There's half day. There's a breakfast with yours truly up in Duck and Waffle nice. in London. What else is there? There's some good prizes. There's like lunch paid for and all different things. 12 different ones. So that's actually, I found helped us. I don't know why I didn't do it years ago, because it's helped us increase output for sure. And yeah, key thing is, I suppose, if nobody does the challenge or wins the wheel, then don't lower the standards. It's quite easy to fall into a trap of lowering the standards and saying, right, I know I said you've got to do 500 calls this week to be able to get a spin of the wheel, but we'll drop it to 400 because no one got there. I'm saying no. You
I want to put it up to 550. Yeah.
I'm going to put it up until someone does it.
Stop being lazy. So fucking do your calls.
That's it. Yeah. So we found that's helped with output. And yeah, I'm starting to see some benefit on the back of that.
Oh, good. Do you think there's any other sort of strategies or any sort of gizmos like that you'll introduce just to mix it up, keep that motivation going? Like I say, you've got to stay motivated, haven't you, in sales? So
Yeah, we do. I think structure is key. I think it's easy, and what we've done before is just kind of let someone loose on the phone and say, look, you got to do X amount of calls. These are your targets. You've got to get X amount of clients. Crack on. But now we've kind of I've sent a structure out that I want all the sales guys to kind of adhere to. For example, first 2 hours of the day, you're cold calling your UK based SMEs, or calling your prospects, with a view to just selling our vanilla foreign exchange services, import, export, high net worths, etc. Um, Sort of 11 till 12, calling back, you're doing your warm calls, people you already spoke to, people who we've demonstrated good savings to, and are keen to get applications done and come on board. After lunch, invoice finance. So we've got a number of partners that do all ranges of finance. So we act as like a broker. So invoice finance is key for SMEs and generally growing companies that are looking to kind of bridge the gap between invoicing their customers and getting paid, because cash is king with business. And if you're waiting 3 months to get paid from your customers, and it slows down other business processes. So an hour after lunch, just prospecting for invoice finance customers. And then we've got we're doing more work with emerging markets now as well. So getting funds out of emerging market countries, places like China, LATAM countries, Asia and Africa. Whereas sometimes it's a bit tricky to get funds out of these jurisdictions, but we're able to do it, and a relatively cost effective way of doing so as well. And then sort of 4 o'clock, just kind of preparing yourself for the next day, I suppose, building your lead lists and going over whoever hasn't answered earlier. But we're pretty much at the door at 5 o'clock, which is always been.
That's good. And have you found that structure's started to work?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it just keeps it fresh. You're not just plugging away. You're breaking. It feels as though you're breaking your day up. So if right, I've only got to do this, have these conversations for this amount of time. It's getting a bit tedious now. Right, I'm going to move on to something completely different and a bit fresher. And we'll also, if someone's having a particularly bad day, say if they're getting a lot of no's and they feel as though everyone at the end of the phone hates them, we'll do a bit of training. We'll just say, right, put the phone down. Let's go over some training. What you're kind of missing, or what's the reason you're having these calls? It's easy to say, because everyone at the end of the phone is X, Y, and Z, but 9 times out of 10 it's you. It's reflected in your tonality.
Yeah, we touched on it earlier, didn't we? Yeah, how you're talking on the phone, your enthusiasm.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll try and work on that. Do a bit of training and try and break that cycle.
Brilliant. So there might be some listeners who might be your ideal client. So what is your ideal client? You obviously touched on SMEs. Then, in terms of the for FX, what services in layman's terms are you offering? If a business rings you up, or one of the listeners gets a call from you, what are you offering to them?
So we have got a number of services now. We started off just with vanilla FX, and that was for SMEs, corporates, and private individuals. Anyone that needs to change their currencies up for an investment, or like I said, SMEs is probably our main focus. So any company that imports from overseas to sell their goods in the UK, or any company that exports, has customers over anywhere around the world. They'll have to obviously make payments. They'll be invoiced by their suppliers in euros, dollars, CMY, or Turkish lira, whatever it is. So we just facilitate those transactions. We just tend to do it much cheaper than the banks. The easiest way to describe it is, obviously there's an interbank or mid-market rate that every bank and broker buys and exchanges at. SMEs and private individuals and corporates don't have access to these rates unless you're Tesco's or something, I don't know. So they'll essentially they'll come to someone like us. We can buy wholesale from the banks, and we're just we can pass the savings on to our customers. Yeah. So if you've got one customer who's been with their bank for 20 years, 30 years, they've never looked at using a broker before. They've never even looked into exchange rates or know they can get better exchange rates. They might be paying 2-3%. with their high street bank. If you've got someone that's turning over 1 million or 2 million, that quickly adds up. That's
Yeah, it's a bit of dough, isn't
20, 30 grand a year. That's someone's salary, potentially 2 people's salaries on an unnecessary FX cost. So we can cut that in half. Okay. And or even, if it's a big enough margin, we'll do more than half. So we make sure it's, really competitive. That's the FX side of things. We're also putting in more and more invoice finance facilities. So as I said earlier, bridging the gap between invoicing your customers and getting paid. And there's 2 types of ideal customer. It's those that already use invoice finance, and they give their customers credit terms. Maybe they don't use invoice finance already, but they give their customers credit terms. So they're waiting 30, 60, 90 days or longer to get paid by their customer. We can fund their invoices from day one, up to 95%. Most invoice finance customers will charge, providers, banks, etc., will charge a minimum. So they'll work out whatever your turnover is, take a percentage of that, and you'll pay a minimum amount every month. Ours is a pay-as-you-go solution. So you could never use it, but then you could say, right, I've just invoiced my biggest customer. They owe us 100 grand. We're not going to get it for 3 months, but I really need to make another order and import something to keep business going, or I've got a VAT bill to pay or whatever. I could do with that cash now.
Yeah.
We're lending out from it's something like about 0.8% a month if you borrow for 1 month. So it's something like 0.0275% a day or something silly like that. And it's great because our customer's customer doesn't know they're using an invoice finance facility. It's pretty much opaque in that regard. And we'll also do the credit control and the chasing for them. So they sign up, they get a facility with us. They upload their invoice. We essentially buy the invoice from them.
Yeah.
And they've got that cash. They've got 95%, up to 95% of that cash from day one. And then as soon as the invoice is settled, whenever it is, we chase the customer. Obviously, as soon as that's settled, we send the other 5% less our fee.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. That's pretty good to help people. It's more for. There's a bit of a stigma around invoice finance. People think, I don't need to get involved in that. That's for people or for companies that don't really have a lot of cash. That's not the case. They're not really the clients that we're targeting. It's more the ones that want to grow and need the cash that's just tied up in invoices now. So there's that. So you've got the vanilla FX, SMEs, private individuals. You've got invoice finance, and obviously other vanilla loans. We've done plenty of loans for people that are expanding their premises or just want a vanilla loan for, I don't know, big order or whatever. Recently, we're doing a lot more with emerging markets, as I said, and some crypto stuff as well. So we can do cross-border crypto transactions. But yeah, emerging markets is key. There's so many jurisdictions where they have restrictions. The local banks have restrictions on their currency, so you can't export from the currency from these places. Like Nigeria, for example, getting Nigerian naira out of Nigeria is tough. China, there's a lot of I saw an article earlier, so that there's so many Chinese high net worths that are moving out of China and trying to into the UK. So obviously they need to move their local currency out of China into the UK, and they need someone like us to be able to do that essentially. Historically, it's been pretty costly, and slow. Can take sort of 3 to 5 days just to complete the funds transfer. But we've got a solution that they can do it in less than 24 hours, and it's very cost effective. Other jurisdictions as well. India have got restrictions on their currency, so exporting that's quite tough, and we can facilitate those as well. So we're targeting as much of the market as possible, and we're essentially trying to be able to replace all of the services that typical banks will provide. So we can provide named accounts. So if someone wants to hold their funds just on account, convert it into another currency, pay suppliers, receive from customers, repatriate foreign revenues, etc., we can give them an account to do so. It's just at our exchange rates, and not the banks.
Yeah. Sounds like you've got a lot covered there, and growing from, like say, a few years ago to just doing your vanilla FX stuff to covering all bases essentially. You're ultimately the one-stop shop, aren't you? And it's interesting what you said about the like you focus in the SMEs and the misconception out there of, it's only the people that don't have the cash. You need the cash to grow. You need that cash coming in quickly. I'm going to switch it back to property as well. There's a strategy called buy, refurbish, refinance. You buy a property cheap, refurbish it. You want to get your money back out as quick as you can to go buy the next. Similar concept, completely different sectors, but it's basically pulling on your resources as quickly as you can to grow aggressively. And would you say that some of your clients who are taking this up, you might see a growth in them? Do you have that relationship with them to know how it does benefit them that way if they are growing? And I suppose going back throughout COVID, was there an uptake in clients on that because of the uncertainty around people paying, or did you sort of hold off on that because of the uncertainty of people potentially not paying and then you was at a higher risk?
Yeah, so with the invoice finance facilities, we provide our liquidity provider provides the it's all in like an all-in-one fee, and that includes credit insurance. So that protects against bad debt. So there'll be a credit check on the customer, and if they're not a credit-worthy customer, then obviously we can't lend against that invoice. So I guess that it's throughout COVID, throughout last year and a half, the government support in terms of loans, on the most part, has been pretty fantastic. To be honest, it's just ridiculously cheap loans that a lot of customers have taken advantage of. So there hasn't really been a huge need for invoice finance facilities. The conversations we're having with a lot of people is, we've got loads of cash, we're sitting on cash, we're cash rich at the moment.
Yeah.
They haven't really needed it. Going forward, as people start to pay these loans back, and as business starts to pick up and people start to grow again, and certainty comes back into the market, then I think there's going to be a much bigger uptake.
Yeah, which you're just going to rub your hands together and wait for, I guess.
Yeah, well, that'd be nice. Just need to get the lads sort of firing. And I think invoice finance, if you haven't come across it before, it can be quite overwhelming. That's what I've kind of, in doing training sessions with the lads when they first start, it looks as though it's going in one ear and out the other, because that's how it was for me when it first got explained to me. I didn't really catch it straight away, but as soon as you understand the fundamentals, obviously you can sell it relatively easy. But yeah, it's just getting people away from that mindset that it's only for potentially struggling companies, and it's for people that want to grow. Recruitment companies, it's massive for, because they, especially the ones that have like temporary staff and have to pay monthly fees.
Of course.
So, but they don't get paid by the customer for 6 months or whatever it is. It's key for them, and these can be massive companies. Some of these recruitment companies and larger firms have got invoice finance facilities for millions. They're not badly off at all. It's just key for growth, and it's going to fuel quicker.
Smashing. So, going, I'm just thinking about the time. Going back a number of years, obviously you've come a long way since, and like I've seen the growth. It's been absolutely fantastic. What would you say was probably been the biggest challenge from when you started out in property, and taking a step back, if you was to give advice to someone who's about to start out in business, any sort of type of business, or they're thinking of leaving their job to go into business, what would you say to them?
I would say work as if you've still got a boss at the start. Don't change anything that, from your employment. You want to work as if someone's breathing down your neck. If you can maintain that mindset, then you're going to, you'll do well. It's so easy to put your feet up and not work as hard and procrastinate and stick on the TV. But I tried to, even when I was working from home, I had Bloomberg on the TV every day, and made sure I was sat at a desk. Well, this was after the sofa days. This is when we moved.
Did you put your suit trousers on instead of your joggers? Yeah,
I didn't go that far. Just got to make sure you have a routine. Make sure you force yourself to do that bit of work at the start, because it will pay dividends later on. And also when it comes to when they, if someone gets to the point where they want to hire people, as I said earlier, hire on attitude. That's pretty key. What other advice would I give? Can't think of it off the top of my head.
Well, no,
Don't know.
it's good advice. Like say, working like your boss is breathing down your neck. I think that's important. And what I do as well, I make sure I get up in the morning, have a shower, as if I'm going out the door to work. Get to a desk. I personally don't sit in joggers or shorts or anything like that. I have to have jeans and a top, or sometimes even put a shirt on, because then that makes my mind think that I'm ready for work. So it means that I'm more in the zone to work. If I put my joggers on or something like that, I just think, I can't be bothered. I just want to go, like, or Joey McCall's not even on anymore. What's something like Loose Women or what's it called, This Morning with Holly and Phil.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I see the importance of that. No, it's brilliant advice.
You're right though. We do casual Fridays every Friday. So obviously Monday to Thursday wear a suit, but Friday obviously it's a bit more casual. You don't have to wear a suit, and you notice that people don't work quite as hard because they're not dressed for it. So yeah, you're right there.
Yeah, you have to say to them, look, if you carry on not working, I'm going to have to put you back in your suits on the Friday.
Back in your whistle, yeah.
Exactly. What would you say your biggest achievement to date has been? This could be anything to do with, business, outside of business. What would you say your biggest achievement is?
I mean, leaving my old job, I was in a fairly stable position, and I was doing well for my age, and leaving that and well, kind of getting the balls to do it and go traveling, I think was quite an achievement. It's not your conventional achievement as such, but for me it was, because I was, as I said, I was very, very comfortable, and a lot of people would potentially stay put. I mean, I think my dad said, "You're an idiot." You're
My
an
dad
idiot
says the same about me every day, mate.
He said, I had my mum saying, "Go for it. You got to do what you got to do." But I had my dad saying, "You leave that job, you're a fool." But I thought, you kind of got to back yourself,
Yeah.
which Sean Brushett, our mutual mate, said to
Yeah,
me. He
yeah.
said, "Look, back yourself. If you can get to where you were, then you can do it again." Which is what I
Probably
thought.
quicker. You can do it quicker because you've got the experience, the knowledge, and the clients.
Exactly. Yeah. So so I thought I'll do it. And also, moving into our first office, I thought that was quite an achievement.
No, but I bet it was nice to sign the lease, wasn't it? And think, right, this is our premises. This is where we're going to go Wolf of Wall Street, hell for leather, and make some money. I can imagine what it was like. But, I think one thing as well I want to touch on then, obviously you said leaving your job and going traveling. My dad said the same thing. I was joining the army. I was going officer. I got injured. The September I flew to Australia would have been the September that I would have started Sandhurst. He was
Oh,
saying,
wow.
you got to start your job. You got to work. Don't go traveling. I just want to touch on traveling because I would say that for me, whether it's I wouldn't say it's an achievement. It was a big risk. I flew out there on my own. Best thing I ever did, and I think that I learned so much. And it's so cliched, they say you find yourself. I wouldn't say I found myself, smoking weed in hippie trousers in Limping. That weren't what it was about. But because I went out on my own, I had to make friends. I had to not be an extrovert, but I had to be confident. I had to go and do things that I might have been uncomfortable with. So since doing all of that, worked in various jobs, met various people, still have a lot of friends out there. Coming back here, moving up to Hull wasn't an issue. Like doing things like taking risks, I've done them before, and I just think it means that because I've been out of my comfort zone, I'm not afraid to go out of my comfort zone now. Would you say something similar? Because they say, don't they, you only grow when you put out your comfort zone. If you're staying comfortable all the time, you're not growing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And to be fair, I've always admired the fact that you went out traveling on your own. You met so many new people. You got your job at Peak Pound. You got me a job at Peak Pound. You met your missus. You moved to Hull on your own. All these things, I take my hat off. But no, yeah, you're absolutely right. You need to step out of your comfort zone to grow. And anyone that's thinking about going traveling, I'd say absolutely do it.
100% agree with that. Definitely, that's
But
what I say.
yeah, I mean, I thought to myself when I was 22 and about to go, I thought to myself, I need to go now, otherwise I'm never going to do it. I'm going to get stuck in my job. I won't do it. But I found that that's not really the case. Because I know people that are in their 30s and they've taken breaks and they've gone and done it. It's not a now or never thing. So if you need to stabilize yourself in your job, gain valuable contacts, etc., then absolutely do it. Because it's not now or never. Well, unless COVID happens.
Yeah,
which
true.
obviously that's put a spanner in the works of anyone that's planning on going. Yeah, but in general.
No, definitely, and like I say, I definitely agree with that. I think getting out of your comfort zone, going ahead and doing it, and I think what you said then, back yourself. You just got to do it, and if you think you've got the ability, just go ahead. What's the worst that can happen? You learn. It's a learning curve. I don't like using the word failure. If shit hits the fan, what's the worst? What's the worst that's going to happen? Lose a bit of money, maybe. You might have to go back in your parents and start again. Like you said, you did it. Well, shit didn't hit the fan, but what I meant is like you obviously left your job, went traveling, come back, you started again. And look, would you say that? Yeah, you back yourself. Would you say that you never look back? It's the best thing you did.
Oh yeah, best thing I ever did. Yeah, wouldn't change it for the world.
No, brilliant, perfect. And that leads me on then. What would you say is your biggest learning to date? Like I said, I don't like to use the word failure, but what would you say is, in life, like say normal life, business, what would you say your biggest learning is? Or has someone, ever sat you down and give you a little piece of advice or said something to you that's really resonated with you and you think, do you know what, I'm going to hold on to that because that means loads?
If I could talk to 15-year-old me, I would probably say finish your A levels. I didn't finish my A levels. Just hasn't really affected me, but I'd probably say do it. If I had my time again, I'd probably like to have a go at university, but only if I was gonna use the degree for something specific, like lawyer, doctor. I wouldn't go just for the fun. Not that I have anything against anyone that has done, because I've got plenty of mates that have done that and had an amazing time. So fair enough. I suppose that was my traveling, my year and a half. In business, I guess biggest learning curve is the hiring. Like I said, I thought that it would be easy, stick a script in front of people and the clients will come flying in. But yeah, that wasn't the case. You need to be, I guess, a little more critical in your interviews. I guess we kind of rushed the interview process a little bit. We probably should have vetted would-be employees a little more, because sales isn't for everyone, and there's certain attributes that you need to be able to do it. And some of the people we took on in the early days, just we should have seen it coming that they probably weren't cut out for it. So yeah, I'd pay closer attention to the employment process.
Oh, fantastic. And it's great advice. So if people want to find you, Dan, if people are listening to this and one, either want to use your services, two, they might be a shit hot salesperson, they want to get in touch for a job because they live down the road, or just to sort of follow your business, see what you're doing. Like you said, you're focusing on now on the emerging markets. It might be on someone's radar in the next 12 months, or you're talking about crypto then, cross transfer or intercontinental crypto. Where can people find you then? What's the best platform?
Website oceancapitalexchange.com. We're doing a bi-monthly blog as well. So every 2 weeks, one of us in the office has got the kudos of writing a nice blog that's going to go up on the website. We're a member of the Kent and Victor Chamber of Commerce as well. So it'll go up on their member blog zone, and LinkedIn and stuff like that. So yeah, LinkedIn, Daniel Swaisland, obviously, Ocean Capital Exchange, Facebook, or just give us a call.
Brilliant. Listen, you've been amazing, mate. A lot of value in that call, and it's been good to have a proper catch up and a deep dive conversation. So, thanks, and like I say, the listeners would have got a lot out of this, because I did for sure.
No, thank you, mate. Yeah, been a good host, and wish you all the best with this, mate. It's a fantastic idea. So.
Brilliant. Well, I'll be back down our neck of the woods soon, so we'll have to go have a pint, have a catch up.
Sounds good, mate. Just let me know. Christmas beers are on the horizon, so yeah.
Definitely, mate. Sweet.
Cheers, mate.
Take it easy. See you later. Bye.
Bye, mate.